A Jewish story. This week's story from the Holocaust is taken from the book The Jewish Enemy, Nazi Propaganda During World War II and the Holocaust, written by Jeffrey Herf. In summer and fall 1943, Nazi Germany suffered further reverses in the war. Italy surrendered to the Allies on September the 9th, 1943. At Kursk, on the Eastern Front, the largest tank confrontation in military history ended in a Soviet victory. The Battle of Kursk marked the end of German offensive operations on the Eastern Front and prefigured the movement of the Red Army towards Germany. Less noticed but of great importance was the growing strength of the Soviet Air Force. A blitzkrieg in reverse began to decimate the Wehrmacht on the Eastern Front. Strategic interaction between the Eastern and Western fronts took a heavy toll on German armies. Fighting on the Eastern Front prevented the Germans from shifting forces to the West, while the need to defend German cities against British and American bombing reduced the air power available to use against the Red Army. German air power steadily declined, while Allied air power, both in the West and in the East, increased. The death toll among the German armed forces was grim. Before the Battle of Stalingrad, German battlefield deaths in 1942 averaged around 35,000 a month. Almost 400,000 soldiers died in the 4 months from December 1942 to March 1943. The average monthly death toll from April to June was 25,000. From the Battle of Kursk in July 1943 until May 1944, German battlefield deaths averaged 70,000 a month. That is more than 2,000 a day. Though individual families knew of their losses, the Reich Press Office, indeed the Propaganda Ministry as a whole, successfully suppressed information about the escalating death toll. At the same time, the regime suppressed the details of the final solution. From summer 1943 to spring 1944, the German press carried no reports about the destruction of the Jewish ghetto in Lvov, or indeed of any ghetto in Poland, or about the completion in late June 1943 of a 5th crematorium in Auschwitz-Birkenau, which could produce 4,756 corpses every 24 hours. Nor was there any word about the August 1943 uprising by prisoners at Treblinka, the deportation in August 1943 of the last 43,000 Jews from Saloniki, to Auschwitz, the destruction in September 1943 of the Jewish ghettos in Minsk and Vilna, or the exhumation and burning of 100,000 bodies buried at Babi Yar to hide traces of mass murder. No mention was made of efforts by Sonderkommandos in Minsk to obliterate all traces of the murder of more than 40,000 people, or of the revolt in October 1943 by prisoners at Sobibor. The Nazi press ignored the establishment on October 20, 1943 of the United Nations War Crimes Commission and reported nothing about the launching on November the 3rd of Operation Harvest Festival, which resulted in the killing of 40,000 Jews, 18,000 in one day alone at Majdanek, the arrests of Jews in Florence, Milan, Venice for deportation to Auschwitz. The deportation to Auschwitz on February 18, 1944, of the remnants of the Jewish community of Amsterdam, or the deportation in 147 trains between April and July 1944 of 454,551 Hungarian Jews, most of whom were murdered on arrival in the gas chambers at Auschwitz-Birkenau. Total silence about these events was among the greatest accomplishments of the Reich Press Office and of the Propaganda Ministry. The Nazi propaganda apparatus kept the extent of the disaster that had befallen the German armed forces, as well as the details and scope of the final solution, entirely out of the public view. Rumors and reports spread by soldiers back from the front were no substitute for the accurate ongoing narrative that only a free and inquiring press and other independent media could offer. The absence of a free press was a crucial precondition for the implementation of the final solution.